Hello everyone. I'm Anastasia, and first of all, today I would like to say thank you to organizers of this amazing event, and also thank you for opportunity to be featured in the first volume of the book. It was really exciting for me, and I would be a bit stressed today because usually on panel talks I have a company, and today I'm alone. So forgive me if I will take time sometimes to remember some words in English since it's not my native language. So today we're going to speak about Bitcoin NFTs and the future of digital art and asset ownership. It's not a secret that in recent years NFTs have surged in popularity, and I think it's also partly of the reason why we all here today. And basically on the front end nowadays, surprisingly maybe for some, but it's Bitcoin NFTs. But I think what's beautiful about Bitcoin NFTs, since they're combining the beauty of a couple of concepts. One of them is the security of Bitcoin blockchain, and another the concept of non-fungible tokens. So give me a second. I would like to introduce myself. I'm Anastasia Ilicheba. I joined this space in the early 2020s, and I'm co-founder and CEO of World Blockchain Hackathon, and I have been hosting hackathons for over 3 years. At first, it was Babylon project focused on Web3, and this year in autumn, I'm going to host Bitcoin project fully focused on Bitcoin. I'm also PR marketing and business development at DIBA Global, and we are building three products. One of them, DIBA, it's first Bitcoin NFT marketplace implementing RGB smart contracts. It's BitMask, Bitcoin wallet extension, and it's Carbonado, decentralized storage solution. As we are joking in the team, it's like apocalypse resistant for truly paranoid. So I've been in the space for over 3 years, and today I would like to deep dive into the Bitcoin NFTs. And I will start with the history because NFTs boom happened in 2021. The talk started in 2017. But funny part is not many people know that initially NFT started on Bitcoin. So in 2012, the first open source project, Colored Coins, appeared, and it was the first attempt to bring the real world assets on Bitcoin. So, as an open source project, the first time was implementing the mechanism of IEPOBC, which were allowing to facilitate transactions and also to distinguish the transactions of color coins by adding a tag value to them. But color coins didn't last for long because community had different perspectives on how colored coins gonna progress, and also the process of minting was overcomplicated and technical, but it's still considered as one of the earliest form of NFTs, which showed that there is an initial need and like as solutions on top of blockchains to bring assets, real world assets and digital assets on blockchain. And this leads us to 2014 to Counterparty. The Counterparty was launched as a peer-to-peer financial platform, distributed open source internet protocol, or in simple words, layer 2 solution, which was allowing to create dApps and also digital assets on top of Bitcoin, but you still needed tokens. So it was proof of burn concept that like a particular amount of Bitcoin was burned to secure like kind of connection with the Bitcoin blockchain, and that the tokens which were issued by counterparty, they still were secured by Bitcoin. It just like in a really short and simple terms. But I think the great thing about counterparty, even though now it's not really on radars of discussion, it's bring us couple amazing projects such as Spells of Genesis, one of the first blockchain games, and also Rare Peppers. So in 2016, the meme frog art, you've probably seen this cute frog, sometimes not really cute, but this frog around Twitter and also other platforms. So the Rare Pepper and Fake Rare Pepper community, the collectibles still is one of the most famous Bitcoin collectibles. And I think it's pretty interesting. We're not going to deep dive into it, but initially they have a particular console which deciding whether it's a rare pepper or fake rare pepper. Um, After that, we have a bit of dark times for Bitcoin because the block size war started. And basically, in 2021, I need to mention that the stacks were launched. But since stacks is like layer one solution on Bitcoin, so they literally created a parallel or side chain to Bitcoin, and you need to use the token STX token to mint, trade, buy, sell your digital assets or NFTs. There's like lots of considerations and conversations whether they are really on Bitcoin or no, since the NFTs are not on chain. Just give me a second. I saw some comments and it's not to me. Okay, cool. Um, I was worried maybe something with the sound. So yeah, I need to mention stacks, but since the assets are not on chain, they're not really considered as a Bitcoin NFTs, even though it's a movement as a, like Bitcoin maxis or Bitcoiners saying they're orange pillars. For stacks, it's purple pillars. So I needed to mention them, but I haven't included them into timeline because, yeah, we have, and probably I also have a particular opinion on this matter. And we are coming to 2023. I think it's like exciting year, and it's like year of Bitcoin NFTs. So in December of 2022, Casey Radmore has launched his open source project Ordinals, or ORD, with inscriptions, which refers to the creation of Bitcoin native digital artifacts by inscribing sats with the content. So initially, ordinal theory is assigning the ordinal number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and going on to each sat, and basically rarity of some inscriptions based on the which UTXO, which SAT were used, if it's like the first SAT of the Halloween, first SAT of the new block, or one of the SATs which were used in the Satoshi Nakamoto transaction. So they have a whole theory and also like distribution of rarity to each collectibles. But the main thing about the inscriptions that because of SigWit and because of Taproot BIP proposals, which was done in 2014, 2017, it started to be possible. The only limitations of ordinals, it's the data size. So you maximum can mint 4 megabytes into the block. And the hugest so far was 3.96, if I'm right. I just don't want to lie on this. But it showed that there is interest into the Bitcoin NFTs. And also, I can't but mention, but it's also UDAs, or unique digital assets, attached to UTXOs with RGB smart contracts. It's what we were building for 2 years, and we launched this May during Bitcoin Miami. We still on the private mainnet for the UDAs, but with the BitMask wallet, we on public mainnet, and people already minting some RGB assets and playing around them. But basically, where I'm coming to, so why so many people interested in Bitcoin, why we are building on Bitcoin, and why artists would like to bring their collectibles and collections PFPs to Bitcoin. First of all, it's security of Bitcoin blockchain. And I think Bitcoin has proved it all with the proof of work, longevity of the art. What I know, it can sound like a bit skeptical, but most of the artists with whom I have been in conversations, they would love their art to live longer than they are, and they would love their art to be passed through generations. And since the Bitcoin is the blueprint of the blockchain, it kind of has gained its name and its trust, and that's why they want to have their assets on Bitcoin, because no one owns Bitcoin and no one can really control Bitcoin. So lower transaction fees, it's another point. Obviously, it depends on the approach, but still transaction fees and minting fees are dramatically lower in comparison with other blockchain protocols. And it all depends on, of course, on the approach, because, for example, the way we build products, we have zero minting fees, since your digital assets, unique digital assets attached to UTXO, and the UTXO, it's unspent Bitcoin transactions. So you can mint as many things as you want. But of course, we have transactional fees. other platforms or other concepts, they have different approach, but still in comparison, and research has shown that the Bitcoin transaction fees are much lower than other analogs. Store value, I think it's pretty obvious. Bitcoin even called digital gold, so I have nothing much to say on this. But blockchain recognition, I mentioned it already, and the Bitcoin initially has already a huge group of supporters, a really big community. Even though this community has different kind of views, whether Bitcoin should be just as like just for monetary use, or some Bitcoiners they're supporting the idea of cultural layers, and also that the Bitcoin become an applications layer, that more applications could be built on top of it, and also art could be issued. And the last but not least point, and I think pretty fun one, is scalability. Because initially, why Bitcoin protocol wasn't really considered as like NFTs, blockchain, and why basically Ethereum really emerged into this space and became so popular, because Bitcoin wasn't scalable enough. Bitcoin wasn't scalable. It was just P2P transactions, and no one was really considering, and even experiment with color coins failed. But now, because of layer 2 and layer 3 solutions, because of smart contracts, Bitcoin is scalable. And that allows companies, it's allowed startups, it's allowed projects to build their dApps, applications, or even issue their collectibles on top of Bitcoin, and also having all the features of Bitcoin inherited into their assets or their products or projects. Um, Ordinal's boom of 2023 has showed interest into the Bitcoin NFTs. And we can see that over just 6 months, there are 230 total volume of the market is $230 million, with the amount of inscriptions being around 14 million inscriptions. And at first, it wasn't that fast. It was taking slow. And the simple reason for it wasn't user friendly. You needed to be at least a bit tech savvy to be able to mint your ordinal, to be able to mint your inscriptions, because you needed to have a full running node. And trust me, I also didn't have it. Even though I had like one inscription, my friend and my colleague, he had full running node, and he minted my Bitcoin meme for both of us. He sold it already, but we were among the first ones. We were inscription number 284. Um, but within couple weeks, within couple months, the community has shown an honestly amazing response, because many wallets started to be ordinal supported, more marketplaces were built. Some of them, they had lack of user interface, but the main thing is they were open source. So they were still promoting decentralization of Bitcoin community. They were open source. So they secure, they're open for community to have a look on the code. They're trustworthy, I would say. And also more things like ordinals dictionaries, ordinals like white papers, black papers appeared. So people were able to get more educational resources, because at first people could read about ordinals more in Twitter spaces. And the first people who even kind of joined the movement, it wasn't art creatives, it was tech guys, it was developers, because they were the only ones who had like running nodes. But also ordinals allowed more companies, more businesses to jump on a new wave with the Bitcoin NFTs by providing solutions. I also came around the company who now provides the loans backed by ordinals, but another solution is providing tools for people who's not having their full running nodes at home. So for example, Gamma, they provided the solution for artists to mint ordinals. And I think it's really pretty interesting cases. And with this like massive growth in 6 months, the market overview in general looks interesting. The Galaxy Digital, they have made the research. They were mostly focusing on ordinals as Bitcoin NFTs. They haven't included other Bitcoin NFTs projects. But basically, based on their research, by March 2025, market can reach, in the worst case scenario, in the bear case, if it's only like luxury generative art, one of ones, historical NFTs being minted as ordinals, it's going to be 1.5 billion. In the best case or normal case, it's going to be 4.5 billion if it's generative art, one-on-ones, historical NFTs, limited profile pictures, limited utility projects. And of course, in bull case, if most of the things moving back to Bitcoin, we can get 10 billion market cap. But if we're speaking about total addressable market, and if we even gonna look at the Ethereum NFTs, which is currently 85 or 95% of the market, for them to reach 1 billion total addressable market, it took them around 3 years prior to this. Because from 2018 to 2021, the market wasn't booming. No one was really speaking about NFTs. Of course, these all numbers and the best case possible only if more wallets are being built, more marketplaces are being built, and more collaboration within the ecosystem and more artists are interested. But to be honest, it has shown already that there's lots of interest in the Bitcoin NFTs just because it already has its own famous collectibles such as Taproot Wizards, Ord Rock, and also Ord Crypt Punks or Bitcoin Punks as the kind of analog of the CryptoPunks. Yeah, and also the Yuga Labs in March, this March, like 3rd or 5th of March, they have launched their collectible, like the generative art collectible of 300 pieces, 12 folds on ordinals. Also, more brands jumping on train as like Aspraise in collaboration with On-Chain Monkeys. They have issued their collection or the X Fabergé. So more luxury brands, like some luxury brands who has never been interacting with NFTs, they're making these moves only on Bitcoin because of security, because of trust, and because of the reputation of the blockchain. So the future and the trends, it's pretty hard to predict it and to say trends. We have looked with you on the market overview, but since we are so early, let's be honest, even though the first NFTs were issued on Bitcoin, we are pretty early because the boom has happened only this January. My company, in terms of what we build, we are still on private mainnet, but I do hope this situation gonna change by the end of this week. Um, and we're gonna be on public mainnet. But initially, what's going to be the main kind of criteria is how everything going to progress. It's innovation and collaboration within the community. And by this, I mean the most of the projects, they are open source. So when more developers collaborating on them, they are progressing faster to achieve a particular steps to be available for the community, to be available for the general public. In terms of innovative and collaboration, I think the one of the amazing projects with whom we are build like working on what we are building is RGB smart contracts. It's layer 2 layer 3 solution allowing to implement lightning network as the for the transaction fees for NFTs, for example, also allows to control privacy and implementing client-side validation. In terms of mainstream adoption, it's hard to say because let's be honest, the adoption of cryptocurrency around the globe it still need to be approved. When we're speaking about NFTs has kind of gained their particular reputation just because of the name and because of so many scams and rug pulls. That's why I think most of Bitcoin NFTs projects, they have their own names such as ordinals or as we call in UDAs, just a bit to move a bit from like NFTs reputation. And it's usually hard to say about the adoption. What shows now that the brands are interested, that some celebrities are interested to jump on a train and do something with the Bitcoin. But it all depends on the product. And I think another thing is initially Bitcoin community is a bit different. And I know like many people saying it's toxic. Initially, it's not really toxic, but it has a particular views, it has particular beliefs, and that's why also community itself, half of Bitcoiners support the idea of digital assets or real world assets on Bitcoin. Some of them still prefer Bitcoin to be only as a monetary value. So this would be understandable only within the time. But in terms of culture and social impact, I would say that Bitcoin, as a cultural level, is application level, and as a settlement level, is honestly something new. And also, I believe with the whole idea of the open source projects, which are not for monetary value, but for the community value, can attract many artists, many creative, many entrepreneurs to consider Bitcoin as the perfect blockchain for them. Yes, and I wanted to say something else, and unfortunately, I forgot it. um, and I think, yeah, I'm coming to the end of my presentation for today. Um, if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them. I hope this presentation brings some light on the Bitcoin NFTs and what's happening in the space. And I hope it was interesting for you and you were able to learn something new. So thank you so much.